All right, guys, so we've got another mock draft reaction here. I'm going to be looking at two different mock drafts. I was promised some very rare picks within these mock drafts, apparently. So we're just going to be reviewing these, kind of reacting to them like I normally do. You've got CJ Stroud going number 1 overall. That is the heavy expectation. Carolina trading up to the number 1 pick. Very, very sound pick there. Will Anderson going number 2. It says the Texans are not ready to draft a quarterback with the current roster. I believe that drafting a quarterback with the 2nd overall pick in this draft would be setting him up to fail without a strong receiving core. So, guys, who's doing these mock drafts? Seriously. According to this person's logic, the Cincinnati Bengals should not have drafted Joe Burrow before they drafted Ja'Marr Chase. Remember, they drafted Burrow number 1 overall. The next year, they draft Chase at like 6 overall. Some of these people that do the mock drafts, guys, if there is a franchise quarterback, I don't care who else is on your roster. You take the franchise quarterback. If you are the Houston Texans at number 2, you take Bryce Young. You've also got, the other thing that doesn't make any sense, you have the number 12 overall pick. You can trade up to draft JSN. You can stay at number 12 and draft Jordan Addison. This is just like the logic is just not making sense. If you are a bad team and there is a franchise quarterback there, beggars cannot be choosers. You cannot pass on a franchise quarterback because you're worried he's not going to be developed. Why? What type of thinking is this? I love Will Anderson. I think Will Anderson's generational. And I know that's kind of cliche, but guys, Will Anderson, his sophomore season, 34 tackles for loss. It's ridiculous. He's actually underrated, and it is so disrespectful when people say Jalen Carter is a better prospect. I know they play 2 different positions. Jalen Carter doesn't even have 10 career sacks, and he drives 300 miles per hour above the speed limit, but we should treat him as a better prospect than Will Anderson? Come on, folks. It's ridiculous, but I love Will Anderson, but this logic, I mean, they really got to hire some new people or something. So, wow, you know what? If this actually happened to where Bryce Young was still available at pick number 3, this thing is annoying me. This little thing that's flashing. But if Bryce Young was available at number 3, it is DEFCON 1 for a team like Tennessee to possibly trade up. That's a big trade. Trading the number 11 overall pick, a 2024 first rounder, a 2025 first rounder. That's probably what it would take, and they get their franchise quarterback. And I would do that if I'm Tennessee. Give up everything, you know. I am a little concerned with Tennessee's weapons overall. I'm not a big fan of Treylon Burks. I thought that was a bad pick. But yeah, Tennessee with Bryce Young, I think that's a good fit. And they would probably be giving up on Malik Willis at that point. They're going to have to make a decision on what they want to do with Willis. But we'll see there. Next, you have Will Levis at number 4. So I do have a sneaking suspicion that this is the way Indianapolis will go. Whether it's at number 4, maybe they have to trade up to number 3 to make sure they secure him. I do think Indianapolis will draft Will Levis over Anthony Richardson when push comes to shove. There's a lot of hype with Anthony Richardson coming out of the combine. It's died down a little bit, but it's still there. When draft night finally happens, I do think Will Levis is the 3rd quarterback off the board. Anthony Richardson, I don't know where he's going. He might fall. But in this mock draft, going at number 5 to Seattle to sit behind Geno Smith for a year, and we'll have to see how Geno Smith does next year. That could create kind of an awkward situation. If Geno Smith plays well next year, Anthony Richardson would probably be sitting behind him for multiple years. I see Jalen Carter dropping out of the first, or dropping out of the top 10, but could he go at number 6? You're just speculating, you know, you're just speculating on that. Christian Gonzalez. Oh, so that was no, never mind. Christian Gonzalez at number 7. I like Christian Gonzalez. He's a really good player. Tyree Wilson at number 8. I would be a little underwhelmed if I'm Atlanta, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Tyree Wilson should be a pressures machine in the NFL. This is a total bust of a pick. You're picking Myles Murphy at number 9. That would be very bad if you're Chicago. Chicago, don't overthink this. You have Peter Skoronski, you have Paris Johnson Jr. both on the board. Get Justin Fields some help. Don't do anything stupid with an overrated pass rusher. But this mock draft has them taking Myles Murphy, Devin Witherspoon. That's a really nice pick by Philadelphia. He's probably, I think Cam Smith might be the best corner, but Witherspoon, you could argue, certainly. Nolan Smith, I think that's a good pick. That would be Arizona trading from number 3 to a number 11. I am concerned with Nolan Smith's lack of production and his injury, but if he stays healthy, yeah, he's a former number 1 overall prospect. JSN goes to Houston, but you didn't give them a quarterback, brother. You gave, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Skoronski at number 13. I would draft Paris Johnson Jr. over Skoronski. There's just too many concerns. I think he's probably going to be a guard in the NFL with his height. No, I'm not taking Jones over Paris Johnson Jr., but, you know, maybe he's a bigger offensive tackle. Zay Flowers is just way too small. You're not taking Zay Flowers over Jordan Addison. No way. Joey Porter Jr., I like it a lot. He's a very physical corner. Paris Johnson Jr. at number 17. That's a great steal for the Steelers. Bijan Robinson at number 18. I like this pick. I like this projection. Bijan, I think, will go inside of the top 20. Someone will go, you know, we all know he's a top 10 player. Running backs have gotten a little bit too far devalued. If you draft Bijan in the first round, you're getting him through basically his entire prime because you get the 5th-year option. Bijan's going to be a really good pick, whoever takes him. Hendon Hooker, I think that's a little rich at 19. He's a little bit old, but if Tampa Bay likes him, maybe you could see it. Van Ness, I'm not a fan of his, but they've got him at number 20. That's a little bit lower than where I've seen him. Kincaid at 22. That's interesting. I probably would go Jordan Addison there if I was the Chargers, but I do like Kincaid a lot. Quentin Johnston, I think, is going to be a total bust. To me, he reminds me of like a Kevin White or maybe like a worse version of Corey Davis. That's just my opinion. Who is this kid? Bretz from Kansas State. I'm not familiar with him, Julius, so we'll have to see with him, but I've never seen him go in a first round. Michael Mayer at 25, solid pick by Jacksonville. Get a big tight end weapon. But what about Evan Ingram? What happened to Evan Ingram? Did he leave? I thought they re-signed him. Cam Smith at 26, I like Cam Smith a lot. Kancey at 27, there's no way I'm drafting him in the first round. He's way too undersized. Drew Sanders, I don't mind that pick at 28. Wright at 29, that's a good pick. He is a good tackle. Derek Hall at 30, that's a reach. Gibbs at 31, he's a really good athlete, but he's small. He weighed 199. And then Addison, that's a really good pick by Kansas City if they're able to make it. I don't think he'll be on the board at 32. Taking a look, well, we got to minus this out. The one thing with these, why is it auto-playing? It's a website. If I wanted to watch a video, I would go to YouTube. I would turn on my TV. When I go to CBS.com, I am not going to CBS.com to watch a video. So why does it autoplay? You have to wonder with these things. It's just like, you'd think, I don't know. But Bryce Young at number 1, I don't see it. That's not who Frank Reich likes, but, you know, it's a mock draft. It is what it is. Maybe it could happen. CJ Stroud in a massive trade. What is this trade? Houston gets 11 in 2023. They get a 2024 first rounder, 2024 third rounder, 2025. I'll tell you what, that's well, listen, Tennessee, if you got to get your franchise quarterback, maybe that's a trade you make. Anthony Richardson at number 3. I think they go Will Levis. So Indianapolis Arizona trades down one spot and still gets Will Anderson and also gets an additional third-round asset. That's a very good trade by Arizona, and they still get Will Anderson. Jalen Carter, I think he goes lower than that. But again, we'll have to see what happens with him. Van Ness, I think that's a dud of a pick at number 6. Tyree Wilson, I can't hate on it. Christian Gonzalez, that's a solid pick for sure. Paris Johnson Jr., I'm liking this mock a little bit better. Witherspoon at 10 again. JSN goes at 11. Soronsky goes at 12 also to Houston. So they're apparently the new trend in the mock draft world is to not have Houston take a quarterback. Jones goes at 13 because I think the Jets will go offensive tackle for sure. They're just desperate for one, and there's a lot of options. You know, maybe I don't think Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be there, but there's a lot of good tackles. Here's another one, right? Myles Murphy at number 15. That's a dud of a pick. Banks at 16. He's athletic. I could see it. But I'm not picking Banks in front of Cam Smith or Joey Porter. Joey Porter at 17. Breezy at 18. No chance. Way too injury prone. I am not taking that chance and investing the 18th overall pick. Torrance, the interior lineman at 19. I don't know if I would do that if I was the Bucs. I like Torrance, but that's very high to be investing into a interior offensive lineman when you really don't have a future at quarterback. But you don't want to rush it. You don't want to force a pick there and just pick Hendon Hooker for the heck of it. Nolan Smith at 20, I like it. Bijan at 21, I really like it. Quentin Johnston at 22, that's a dud. Will Levis falling all the way to 23. I highly doubt this happens. If it does, you got to love the value for Minnesota here. I'm guessing Will Levis will go a lot higher than this, but it's always possible one of the QBs could fall. Brian Branch I really like as a Swiss Army knife, like Nickelback. Jordan Addison, that's a great pick by the Giants if they're able to make it. That's a really good pick. Sam Laporta. I like Sam Laporta, but there's better tight ends at this point. There's no way I'm picking Sam Laporta over Mayer, Kincaid. But Sam Laporta is a complete tight end. I will say that. Drew Sanders at 27 again to Buffalo. Mayer at 28 to Cincy. So they go with another weapon for Burrow. White at 29. I wonder if they would trade T. Higgins if they drafted Mayer. That's interesting. White at 29, the defensive lineman from Georgia Tech. That's an intriguing pick. This kid at 30 from LSU, an intriguing edge rusher. And then the freak, Darnell Washington, the big boy tight end from Georgia at 31 to Kansas City. So I just wanted to react to some of these first round guys. Definitely some interesting stuff overall, with potential trades happening inside of the top 10. That's going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.